Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Yana Johnson, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Wing Commander Tim Creevy. We warmly welcome the family of Private Leslie James Arnall, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was a vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which he remained true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record, which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Leslie James Arnall. Leslie James Arnall was born on the 25th of October 1921 in Crookwell, New South Wales, the son of Arthur and Julia Arnall. Known as Les to his family and friends, he was the second son in a family of seven children. Growing up, Les was a keen tennis player, and as a young man, he worked as a shearer and a farm labourer. In December 1941, Les joined the local militia unit, the 3rd Australian Infantry Battalion. With Japanese forces threatening the territories of Papua and New Guinea, and after his initial training, Les sailed north to Townsville. Les and his brother Ray had joined the army at around the same time, and both left Townsville for Port Moresby on the transport ship Bountico in May 1942. Japanese forces had landed on the northern coast of Papua and had begun to cross overland in an attempt to capture the strategic port and airfield of Port Moresby on the southern coast. Initially, Japanese forces made headway along what became known as the Kokoda Trail. Australian forces fell back almost to within sight of Port Moresby, but the Japanese offensive was losing momentum. In early September, Les joined Maroubra Force, a selection of Australian troops that were to push back against the Japanese advance. By the end of the month, the Australian troops had taken the initiative and the Japanese forces were beginning to retreat back along the trail. On the 19th of October 1942, the 3rd Battalion fought against Japanese positions at a point on Eora Creek known as Templeton's Crossing. During the fighting, Les was killed in action just days before his 21st birthday. 2 days later, Les's comrades buried his remains near the place where he was killed, but the exact location of his grave since has been lost. His name is inscribed on the Port Moresby Memorial in Papua New Guinea, which commemorates more than 700 Australian, Papuan and New Guinea men who lost their lives during the operation in Papua and have no known graves. Les's younger brother Ray was also a member of Maroubra Force. He later told the family he was a few metres away from his brother when Les was killed. After fighting on the Kokoda Trail, Ray contracted malaria and was discharged from the army in June 1943, returning to the Crookwell district. Les Arnold's uncle, George Arnall, also joined the army. As he was older than military age, he served on the Australian mainland in the 2nd Garrison Battalion. Les was survived in Australia by his parents and his brothers and sisters, Thomas, Bertie, Ollie, Annie, Linda and Ray. Les Arnold's name is listed on the honour roll to my left among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is one but many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Leslie James Arnall, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they'll be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and we wish you all a very good evening.